Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Boardmasters with me, Chris Mullins. And today I wanted to talk about the UK versus Kickstarter, which is sort of something that's developed over the past week or so, where people who are based in the UK, such as myself, are pretty much unable to use Kickstarter at the moment, particularly as backers anyway. I don't know if these issues affect creators in any way. And basically, the reason behind that is any UK based card payments, other than like travel cards, are being declined whenever you try and spend on Kickstarter. Some banks may still be working. There's a bit of varying time differences, but as someone who works in a UK high street bank, basically what is happening is from the 17th of March, all online card payments, and I believe in person card payments as well, have to be done using 3D Secure system, which basically is, whenever you've done a purchase online and it's sent a text message to your phone or asked you to go into your mobile banking app to verify it, or I think some banks have these little personalized card readers where you put your card in and enter your PIN to authorize the payment. Basically, every single online card payment in particular has to be done using that method. And whilst it's not mandatory until the 17th, pretty much certainly the bank I work for, and I think most of the major high street banks have already started implementing that and started doing that a week or two ago. And basically, Kickstarter is one of those online retailers who are not set up for 3D Secure. As you'll know, if you've ever backed anything on it, you never get asked for any sort of confirmation. You never have to do any of those other methods like enter a code or authorize it through your app. You don't ever do that. You just give them your card details. When the campaign finishes, they process the payment and the money goes through. Except now that it isn't. And it's awkward. As I said, sort of at the top of this conversation, you can use travel cards, I believe, at the moment. I think like Revolut and other foreign currency cards are working. Whether they're going to be working after the 17th, I'm not 100% sure, to be quite honest, because my bank doesn't deal with those. So, and I couldn't find anything online that gave definitive answers for what will happen after the 17th regarding travel cards. I am assuming they will probably be fine, because a lot of foreign retailers don't have necessarily chip and pin and things yet. A lot of them are still using swipe and signature, for example, and so you can't really put those restrictions on a foreign use card, because otherwise they'll be redundant. You won't be able to use them in most places. I also believe these changes for 3D Secure will be spreading across the whole of Europe at some point. The EU, I believe, are bringing them in. I'm not sure what the date is on that. So obviously there is going to be pressure on Kickstarter in the short term to get their systems updated, and whether they will or not, I'm sure they will, but it's just going to be a question of how quickly they can get that implemented. And based on the stock responses they're providing to backers who are having their pledges declined and cancelled at the moment, it doesn't seem like they're readily acknowledging the problem as of yet, sadly. But yeah, it's very, very awkward and difficult for UK backers to do anything on Kickstarter at the minute. Gamefound is working. I have confirmed that myself, and I know for a fact when I back on Gamefound, it asked me to authorize through my app, and I've also paid for a late pledge this week. It was a perfect excuse for me to use it as a test. It was something I'd been umming and ahhing about for a month or two, and then thought, well, I need to check whether Gamefound is working, so I'll just buy that and see if it worked. And it did. So, things I do for you guys. So Gamefound is working. Obviously, we will be able to late pledge for most things. Again, it's going to be a bit hit and miss, I think, depending on the pledge manager. I'm not 100% if all pledge managers have 3D Secure. Obviously, Gamefound does. I don't know about BackerKit or CrowdOx, for example. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't used those recently. and I don't remember ever having to authorize payments through them previously, but it has been a while since I used the platform other than Gamefound, to be honest. So apologies for that. Again, couldn't find any definitive information because the pledge managers, generally you can't see the sort of comments, or I haven't found a way to access the comments within the pledge manager for campaigns. So yeah, I just don't know about that. But that certainly has been the workaround that's been provided to me by developers. They've certainly encouraged me to just wait and then late pledge. So hopefully the pledge managers will work as intended. Obviously, in the short term, from both a backer and a developer perspective, I guess, it's going to have implications on stretch goals and campaign performance. I appreciate the UK market is comparatively tiny, especially compared to the United States. But it's still going to be a chunk of funding that potentially campaigns are going to be losing out on, and developers may need to change their approach in terms of how they're structuring their campaign in terms of the stretch goals, because we know the vast majority of campaigns these days, these stretch goals are planned out and with their expectations of how much they're going to fund and things. They may have to revise those figures for any campaigns that are coming up imminently, because they're not going to have access to UK backers unless they're happy for UK backers to back it. It contributes to the stretch goals, but then it gets declined, but then those backers will hopefully then redo their pledge in the pledge manager, is maybe one way of encouraging people to do it that way. Or I know some campaigns, I believe Bardsung unlocked extra things throughout the pledge manager, and I know other campaigns have taken late pledge funding into account and added or unlocked stretch goals throughout the late pledge period. So maybe that is something that developers will need to consider more over the next few months until Kickstarter gets its act together. Because the last thing they're going to want is Kickstarter to still be dragging their heels when this hits the EU as well, and then basically the whole of Europe can't use Kickstarter. That will be not ideal for Kickstarter, and probably very awkward for a lot of developers, and maybe great for Gamefound, but they could also end up overwhelmed. Who knows? But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that issue because, again, it's something that's hit me. It's not something I've seen really discussed much other than a few little comment sections. But yeah, that is it, really. So thank you very much for watching. Look after yourself, stay safe, and have a good one. Bye-bye now.